Hey guys, welcome back and happy Saturday. All right, guys, well, we're back to talk about something a little bit different because we haven't heard about them in quite some time. It's actually former Real Housewives of New York stars Bethenny Frankel and Carole Radziwill, but we also have an update on season 14 casting. Before we jump in, if you guys haven't already, go ahead, smash that like button. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed, and don't forget to hit that notification bell because, well, you don't want to miss anything we have coming up. With that, let's jump right in.
It's time for all your binge-worthy pop culture news. Welcome to Up and Adam.
All right, guys, so it looks like Carole Radziwill is coming for Bethenny Frankel again. She is claiming Bethenny Frankel had insider access to storylines and information while filming The Real Housewives of New York, and she's sharing with us how she found out. In a new interview, Carole is making some pretty salacious claims that Bethenny had an insider relationship with Real Housewives of New York producers and storylines that other cast members were not privy to. Speaking with Behind the Velvet Rope with David Yontief podcast, which we're a huge fan of David Yontief over here, Carole said she, meaning Bethenny, had access to information about the show that none of the rest of us actually had access to. So I could see that, like, you know, she knew what was said in scenes that she wasn't in. Carole also claims that it made the rest of the cast feel uncomfortable as they felt Bethenny was more protected than they were. I mean, honestly, she was one of the biggest stars of the show. I could see where they would kind of lean in her favor, which doesn't seem fair, but I could see it's all shady, right? It's editing, it's reality TV, it's manipulating storylines, it's pitting people against each other and trying to get the best ratings possible. And if they know that they can trust Bethenny with these storylines and try to help her accelerate the season, yeah, I could see where they would definitely be giving her inside information. She did say, though, so there was clearly some communication that was happening between her and production that wasn't happening with the rest of us in production. That did make people afraid to say things that, you know, they would have said normally because there was, you know, it was someone more protected. So she's saying that people were afraid to speak up against Bethenny because they felt like Bethenny, well, she was the favorite. But I kind of agree with that. I think she was really crafting storylines that the producers would be like, okay, we're going to do this. All right. Carole went on to say that she only found out about this because she borrowed one of the showrunners' phones and discovered a text chain that Bethenny clearly had access to. It said, or she said, I didn't know there was this chain, like this story chain or something. It was like a text message. And all of the producers, it was a group text with all of the producers. I think she had access to some version of that. I only found out about it because I borrowed one of the showrunners' phone for something. And then it came up and I was like, what is this? He grabbed it. He's like, that's the story text chains or something. Carole said that it became clear that Bethenny was in on the text. She elaborated on this idea and said it became kind of clear that she had access to it, whether or not it directly came from producers or just, you know, there's a lot of people on it. It could have just been a relationship she had with a PA or something, but I remember thinking, okay, there's just no way she would have known that unless she was told by a producer. So I saw that. I mean, you didn't say, okay, hold on, wait a minute. She didn't say that she saw Bethenny's name in the text thread. So now I feel like we're speculating because it seemed like Bethenny was one step ahead of the game. And again, I'm not saying that Carole could be wrong. I feel like I would completely see where she's coming from and why she would think that Bethenny would be privy to these storylines and have certain relationships with the producers that maybe some of the other cast members didn't have. Apparently, from what we're hearing, they were begging for her to come back, offering her a pay, you know, that she would be comfortable with. And then we heard rumors that the only reason or way she would come back is if they give her an executive producer credit, which wouldn't make sense for the show because at that point, it's not that you're just privy to a text chain. It's like, okay, you're so clearly on the manipulation of the storylines that it's not an even playing field. Carole did have some kinder words for Bethenny as she thinks Bethenny would make for a great producer for the show, but she doubts that she would return in that role. She said she would be good as a producer. I doubt she would come back as a producer, you know? And as for casting for The Real Housewives of New York, the new season, it's underway after a terrible last season. Carole addressed her thoughts on Bethenny returning as a cast member with the podcast David Yontief Behind the Velvet Rope. If she wanted to, I'm sure that they would definitely entertain that. But, you know, I don't know. And this is a lot of like back and forth. not really getting too much information. Again, this is total speculation. If you came forward and you were like, I saw Bethenny's name on the text chain, then I would be like, oh, Carole got you. But if you're just feeling like she's always one step ahead, I mean, I feel like she's one step ahead in life, period. Like when it comes to her businesses, everything that she's doing, she's always on, you know, the front lines of whatever is happening. And she knows everything, which I feel like she's always, am I crazy for thinking that? But I do want to talk a little bit about season 14 casting since she brought it up. Andy Cohen did recently come out and say that no one is safe for season 14. And fans want to know, who are we talking about? And obviously he said no one, but everyone has a big burning question. There's a big question mark hanging over Ramona Singer and a potential return to the Real Housewives of New York. We know last season that we had Sonia Morgan, Luann de Lesseps, Ramona Singer, Leah McSweeney, Ebony K. Williams, Heather Thompson dipped out pretty fast, and Bershawn Shaw was a friend of the show, but I don't necessarily see her coming back as a full-time role. And I'm wondering, and in my head, I'm thinking they will keep Sonia and Luann, and maybe Ebony, if she decides to come back. I think that they would invite her back, but I don't know, after everything Ebony has been through on the show and having to file a formal complaint and listening to one of her cast members allegedly say some outlandish shit, I don't know if that would be a platform that Ebony would even want to entertain again. I've said this multiple times. I would love to see Ebony K. Williams on The View or on a platform where she doesn't have to explain herself or fight with a bunch of women for absolutely no reason. For Sonia Morgan, Luann de Lesseps, Ramona Singer, well, before Ramona Singer, I mean, before she was caught saying ridiculous stuff, but I could see where some of these women, like the show, it makes sense for them to be a reality TV star. But for Ebony, she does have a real talent as a host, and she's been super successful before the show. That's how she landed herself on the show. I don't know. I hope for her, she's like, screw this, I'm walking away. But guys, I don't want to just give you this information and not ask your opinions. So go ahead and comment below. What are your thoughts about Carole Radziwill claiming that Bethenny was privy to information that the other women were not? And how do you feel about, you know, this text chain? I believe the text chain was real. I just don't know if I believe that Bethenny was a part of it. But then again, like I said, I play devil's advocate and I could see where she was too. I don't know. I just like details, proof, evidence. If you had a screenshot of her face or her name, her number on the text thread, I could see, all right, we're leaning into this. I need your opinions. Guys, go ahead, comment below. Give me all of your unfiltered opinions because I know that's exactly what you're going to do. And before you go, don't forget, and I'm going to be saying this until April, Zach and I are going on a 3-city mini tour to kick off a much bigger project. We are going to Los Angeles, Nashville, and New York City in April. And if you haven't bought your tickets, you definitely need to. It's not just Zach and I, it's some of our comedian friends, content creator friends, Bravo celebrities, people that you might know from your TV. You guys are going to freak out. So hopefully you guys can come play with us in whatever city that you choose. It's going to be one hell of a time. And it's not just us with our friends, but also this whole community that we've built, and everybody finally gets to meet each other. I am so excited for this. spillingtealive.com. Go get your tickets. I love you guys, and I'll see you so very soon. Bye, guys.